I didn't know you were such a crooner. You're such a buble.
I am a buble. That's like the second buble reference, Becky, that I feel like you've had in a couple of weeks.
I mean, I feel like if you're sharp, there's always a buble reference.
Here we are, and welcome to a special, pun intended, episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, because today, my sisters and I are going to talk about the Netflix show Special. But before we get into that, first, Becky, you had a big 24 hours. You're the first Corman child to host a mega Seder over Passover. Lily's hosted Seders in her house.
I've hosted Seders with definitely 11 people.
You've hosted Seders with all of the Jews in the Canary Islands, Lily.
11 people.
All 11 people. But Becky hosted the first mega Seder of our generation in California, no less. Becky, what was it like?
This is as close as any of the three of us will get to the Olympics. That's the best way to describe it.
I mean, I saw the picture of your table.
Like I'm not. When I say it feels like I have been training my entire life. I have been training my entire life for this day. Where probably one of my favorite comments at the end was someone going, "Wow, it seems like this is your 20th Seder, not your first." And I'm like, Mom's like, "Yeah, because it's more like her 35th. I'm like, she's been working towards this her whole life.
So, I mean, does that mean, who do you mark as your biggest Seder influences then?
Well, listen.
At 35, you've had roughly 70 Seders.
So here's what the reality is that we grew up going to Tia Jan's first night Seder, which is gargantuan, right? And over the years, it's grown and grown and grown. And what I've taken away from Tia Jan is the detailed planning of the lists and lists and lists of every single thing that needs to go out, and then the order in which you're going to do it over the course of the days, and doing that like time management with every single little detail. Like, okay, you can't forget Miriam's cup and Eliyahu's cup and the orange for this, like all like the little things, and knowing that like the Tia Jan style is the like extremely organized and like time blocking how and when things get done. So that was a big part of it. And then obviously, everything else about my hostess capabilities from our mother. So it's like a true hybrid. But I cooked for 3 days. I made enough food to probably feed 40 people, so I slightly overestimated.
Oh, so you underestimated it. I was going to say you underestimated.
So I had 15, and I'm not kidding. I have there's so much food left. It's not that bad, but there's I would say I have half of the food left over. We probably only ate about half of it. Well, I guess I'll do my shout outs at the end, but a shout out to the Jewish Martha Stewart, Jamie Geller, because I followed her brisket how-to videos and her brisket recipe, and it destroyed. It was amazing. It was probably like the best thing I've ever made. I'm not even kidding. Like, you guys should fly out here for some of my brisket.
You can mail us some. Put a little dry ice.
I can FedEx you some brisket. It's spectacular. It's a very special.
I feel like if there's a listener who wants Becky's brisket enough to send us a note or tweet saying you want Becky's brisket, I declare now Becky has to find a way to mail it to you. And if you do it, I don't know, on the day that the podcast drops on Friday, you get a bonus shtickle of Mom's gefilte fish.
Oh, that gefilte fish. Mom packed.
What an unbelievable batch, right?
Okay. So Vlad made the chicken soup. It was out of this world. Mom brought her gefilte fish from Philadelphia, packed in styrofoam and ice in a giant hockey bag. Gotta love how Dad always has a hockey bag. Dad brought all the huggadote. It was like so. It was
the
so
only Montreal family that had
together.
15 hockey bags, but nobody played hockey in the family. It's like such a Montreal thing.
I don't even think we owned ice skates. Like, that's how far removed we are.
Everybody else just calls it like a big duffel, but we call it a hockey bag.
My ankles still hurt from the two times I went skating.
This Seder came came together. Like, I have to tell you, it was one of those things where it's like mom and dad arrived. I called people for 5 p.m. They got here at like 4:58.
Wow.
Brought the
From Philadelphia.
Like, they brought the gefilte fish and the horseradish, because you can't cook good horseradish here. I don't know what the deal is. That this place is so weird. I made a chopped liver to like end all chopped livers. You know why? Because I put all the caramelized onions in. It was, you guys would have loved it.
The chopped liver game over here on the East Coast was huge this year.
Huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Aunt Jan's was like out of this world, and Allie's mom's was delicious as well.
And I got to tell you, it was like, while I know I carried the brunt of it, you had Vlad making soup, you had mom making fish, you had dad leading the Seder, you had cousin Alex making the charosset, you had cousin Vanessa bringing macaroons that would knock your socks off. You had Robert, oh my God, Robert and Susie brought a flan. Robert made a flan that was, you know why it was so good? It was the same recipe as mom's. Oh my God.
Oh, so it's like the family flan recipe?
Like the family flan recipe. It was so good. And like classic mom, she's like, this is the best flan I've ever had, except for my own.
To mom's credit, mom can take the classic flan recipe and make you a skim lactose-free version that you cannot tell the difference from the real one.
So it was really beautiful. It was a beautiful night. I'm feeling great about it. And then today we had a dozen people over for matzo brai.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Lil, how was your Seder? And now your son is the age where he can start learning the story. What has he picked up? Which child is he in the 4 children? You're a little bit muted, though, Lily. We cannot hear you. Lily, we cannot hear you.
Let's talk about which kid he is then while we wait for
yeah,
do you feel like he's the wicked one, or do you feel like he's the delicious, yummy one, or maybe he's the simple one?
I'm not going to lie. I did a lot of asking the kids at the various Seders which kid they thought they were, and I'd listen to them, and they all want to be the wise kid. It's an incredible incentive to get kids to behave well.
To be the wise one?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's probably why it's in there. I'm just saying that if I took as long to talk about anything like at all in my life, as long as Becky did to talk about her Seder and each food that was planned, you both would have given me tons of shit. So I'm just saying, for the record,
well, you know, sometimes,
I only talk that long because you guys let me.
You know, I feel like part of why I was really so interested in it is Becky and I had this really special vacation that we went on, just the two of us.
That you weren't on with us.
Where you guys were allowed to talk and run on sentences and they use extreme detail in your stories?
Yeah.
So, then I guess I'm not needed anymore.
So, Lily, tell us what it was like having your whirlwind Tasmanian devil, Balki Bartaka Musava son, at a Seder where he's able to understand the story of Passover.
Well, I started telling him the story, and anytime you speak to him lately, he just goes, no. Tell me about the dragon who's scared.
The dragon who is scared?
He just wants you to make up a story about a dragon who's scared, and you'll be like...
Showed him How to Train Your Dragon. Now's the time.
Yeah, why don't you show him the movie?
That's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so I was like, no, but this story is really great. He's like, nope, I want a story about a dragon. And so I was like, well, I'll do you one better. And I got inspiration from the Rugrats Passover, that there's this amazing episode of Rugrats, which is such an awesome cartoon that I feel like is lost in the oblivion. Is it Canadian? Why is it lost in the oblivion?
No, it was a Nickelodeon show when we were teenagers. So we were just a little... It was really brilliant, funny show, but it's a little bit too young for us. But they had the Rugrats Passover on like VHS at camp all the time.
So in that telling of it on Rugrats, they use... Like, they don't do, like, Jews and Egyptians so much as, like, they use babies and metaphors, basically.
Because the Rugrats kids are the babies. They're the
right.
Jews.
So I use the dragons were the Jews, which when you think about it doesn't make that much sense because they could just, like, blow the whole place up or whatever. So the dragons were the Jews, and they were scared. And the horses, because I couldn't think of, like, I didn't want to, like, be too menacing. The horses were the Egyptians because they seemed very elegant. I feel like the Egyptians had like good style. So I basically told him the whole story and he was captivated. It was pretty cool. And then Hossa then he asked Hossa to tell him a story. So Hossa started telling him the story, and he goes, okay, guess who I'm talking about? And he goes, Ari, it's a superhero, and it's my favorite person ever. It's like my favorite superhero. And Ari turns around and he goes, Mommy. And we're done. I was like, I'm out. I don't need any more parenting. I'm good. Done.
When you told me that story,
no, I meant the Hulk, which was a bit of a weird finish. But and also talking about how all the DC comic book heroes were doing Seder together. He made that up.
Does he know Hulk is not a DC hero? Because really bothers me how much you guys mix up the DC and Marvel heroes.
Yes.
It's like
he did Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Okay, so I guess he mixed them up.
No, Aquaman and Wonder Woman go together, but Hulk does not go with them.
Hulk is Marvel.
I will say there's a Goldbergs episode, still my all-time favorite episode probably, which is the Christmas Story, also known as Super Hanukkah, when Beverly is giving Hanukkah some sizzle and pop and adding all these other traditions, and George Segal, the amazing George Segal, comes in and he starts telling her that like the story she's making up make no sense. So he talks about, and what about when Moses the porpoise came in and parted the Red Sea? And that's what I kept thinking of with your story. Well, thanks for asking.
How was your Passover?
It was lovely. 2 days in a row of matzah brai. You can't go wrong. Last night, I thought
you said you can't go to the bathroom.
I was going to say, you're going to be backed up for a while.
You're like, you can't go.
Better eat some blueberries.
Among many highlights, including getting to be at Tia Mario and Tia Jan's Seder, was last night Allie's cousin Liz, who is a listener of the podcast. Allie's cousin Liz's son, I don't know if she wants us mentioning names of kids, but her son and I sat down and we had like a little chat, the way, you know how dad chats with like a young person, you know, like we'll sit and chat with a kid at a Seder and just, you know, like ask lots of questions. And we had a very, very detailed question about the Seder and martial arts, Lil, and I was showing him pictures from your gym.
Like the connection between a Seder and martial arts, or just two separate?
Two topics, because he does martial arts, and I was showing him pictures of your gym, and as I'm scrolling through, I scrolled through to a picture of your husband shirtless, like greased up, flying through the air with a jump kick, and I remembered that about 11 years ago, when I had shown when that picture was taken, and I had shown that to Allie's cousin Liz, she thought it was amazing, and I actually bought her a mug with a picture of him on it.
Does she still have it?
And, and her husband drinks out of it like all the time. She's like, oh yeah, I still have it. So there you go. That's my Passover story. Okay, now. Our main topic for today, our special topic for today, is a Netflix series that I won't bury the lead, I can't recommend enough, called Special. It was brought to us by one of our great pop culture gurus, co-host of The Gold Nerds, the great Lons from Los Angeles. And as I learned from her, she has a best friend that I refer to as celebrity best friend, Adriana Nassar. Because you know how people have squads, like famous people have squads, and they're always photographed with, and so like this is the person in her squad that's with her. So it is like their joint recommendation. Was this show Special? And with that, which one of you guys wants to take it away and describe the show? Because I've seen 2 episodes. It's fantastic. Who watched it first? Lily, is your recommendation?
What?
Like, you're the one who told us we should watch it for this episode?
No, Becky did.
Oh, Becky. Then Becky.
Becky said that Lon said to watch it.
Lon's recommended. So the first thing to know about the show is that it's 15-minute episodes, which I love. I'm obsessed with the fact that it's 15-minute
revelation.
Episodes. And truly a revelation. And the premise behind it, it's about this 28-year-old guy who's kind of getting out in the workforce for the first time. He has his first internship at this job at like a really hip blogging company, blogging company, really hip blog. Sorry, I'm old. And
it's hard to figure out exactly what that is, though, the place he works.
Yeah. And I
think it's an online magazine.
he's pretty insecure about the fact and uncomfortable with the fact that he actually has cerebral palsy. It's a mild case, but it affects the way he walks and his dexterity. And in trying to, in an attempt to cover up the fact that he has CP, he tells everyone that the reason he has these mobility issues is because he's been hit by a car.
And yeah.
And so the other thing about the show is that his character is, he's also gay. And so for him, the whole arc of the show, or that he talks about, is that he's already out as gay, but he's not out as having CP. And so that's kind of the thing about him that he's in the closet about. And he makes all these new friends and meets these interesting characters, and it also explores the relationship with his mother, who's been his, primary caretaker. It was conceived by and written by the main character, who has CP. I guess it's based on his story. I don't know what details. And it's a comedy. It definitely has some serious elements, but it's a comedy. That's my description. That was it. I'm done.
Lil, take it away.
Well, I'm just going to say that I feel like it's crucial that you get a rec that pushes something over the edge for you. Because, I didn't need someone to give me a hard sell on this, but the trailer, I don't think the trailer on Netflix does it justice. Because I watched the trailer and it made me seem like I'm a drama and it's going to be really sad. And I was like, oh, I can't deal with this right now. I just thought it would be too dramatic. And then Becky was like, Lon said to watch it. I was like, okay.
Right, that was enough of an endorsement.
Right, that is true.
There are those shows like that, you're interested, but you're like, oh, I don't know if I feel like this right now. And then somebody's like, watch it. You're like, done.
Yeah.
Thanks. I just needed.
Well, if you like it, well, then I'll check it out.
Right. And so even though I kvetched last week about the Instagram stories, I actually happened upon the Instagram stories of Special, and it's way better than the trailer. Because it was just the two of them, Ryan and Kim, the two main characters.
Oh my God. Their chemistry and the character Kim is so funny.
So that was just sort of better even. And then I thought that was interesting when you just get that little extra push to watch a show. Well, I wanted to ask a question. How I feel like Special breaks the mold in so many ways in just one show. You know how they talk about small movies? And then,
a small show, but it's...
I feel like it's a small... And I've heard, so many people be like, there are no small movies, or there's no small parts. Right. I feel like this is a small show, which is probably pejorative to call it a small show, but... Yet there's so much to unpack, and I do find it really breaks the mold with its 15 minutes, with its topic. And I just am trying to imagine this guy, Ryan, going to any sort of studio and be like, okay, I have a great pitch. A young man with cerebral palsy who's gay, who's trying to have his first sexual experiences as a TV show. What do you think?
And make his first friends and do all of these adult things. And he struggles with his disability. And just hear crickets, right? I can't imagine what. Here's why there's some genius or some set of geniuses at Netflix that have finally decided that the best way to reach audiences is to make really, really niche shows and to get as specific as possible into one person's experience. And whether that's because they are happy enough with the fact that it's okay to target a really narrow audience, or they understand something that I firmly believe in, which is that the more specific you get about a single person or group of people's experience, the more universal that actually becomes. And the more you generalize an experience to try and make it universal, the less relatable it actually is.
So so when you make something just way too broad, it doesn't make any sense, but the details is what gives it life.
Right, because I'm not disabled, I'm not gay, I'm not 28 years old, I'm not living on my own for the first time, I'm not doing any of these things in my life. But this person who's struggling to find their confidence and is experiencing firsts for the first time, the amount of empathy that provokes in me in some moments, and sympathy in others, that's what's relatable. So you're really just looking to create a human connection, which is what this show does. It doesn't have to be about my experience specifically.
But also, I would say that it's the fact that you have had your first job, you had a bitchy boss, you have had to make new friends, you've had your first sexual experience, your first boyfriend. Like, you've gone through all those things, and yet this character is so different, which is great. Which is kind of like, it's the same kind of vibe I liked about Sex Education. There's all these very unique stories, but they're different, and they do try to push the envelope and break the mold, but yet we can all relate.
But like
in this
the fact
way.
that he lies about his disability and says he was hit by a car. When I was like 23, and my back problems were at their absolute worst, it was before I had my back surgery, and I basically, like, I couldn't walk quickly. Like, it's not like I forget about jogging or running. I couldn't walk fast. I could just walk like at a really slow pace, and I couldn't sit for long periods of time. I remember living in New York and walking down the street with people, and people walk so quickly, and people getting annoyed with me. And instead of saying, "Oh, I have like these back problems and this and that," I go, we're always in such a rush everywhere we go. What's the big deal with just taking a look around and breathing it all in, and kind of just making up these lies about why I couldn't walk quickly? And so I found it really funny and really true, the way that, like, you don't always want to reveal everything about yourself and put it on the table, and that sometimes you are going to lie about things and make stuff up to people. Like, that was an experience I very much had.
And what do you guys, okay, so we see that with this show, you have fully endorsed the 15-minute show.
Fully. Oh my God. Doesn't it just make you feel like anything else is too long?
I like the 15-minute format, or the shorter format, when they make a substantial amount of a show. So I don't think, like, I'm fine with the 15-minute format, but there's enough of this show that I don't feel like they just made something little that they couldn't afford. They just used the amount of time that was right for telling this story. Like, I like the way he has kind of a revelation at the end of each 15 minutes, or he makes a decision at the end of 15 minutes.
Yes.
And that it's very focused on him, and there are side characters, but they're not filling it just to get to 22 minutes.
It's purposeful.
But sometimes I feel like they make it short because, we'll put it this way. Janet Varney, who's one of my favorite performing humans ever, she has a show called Fortune Rookie on IFC, and that is, I think it's shorter segments than those. It's really, really funny. It's an autobiographical thing, as if she left acting to be a psychic, and she's like the worst psychic ever, and it's really funny. I wish there was so much more of it, because it's good. It's great, and it warrants them making more and more and more of it. I wish they had just made more, because I feel like I only got like a taste. Like, I only got a few episodes. Whereas with Special, I feel like, no, I got a real season of something. And
okay, because there are 8 episodes.
Right, because there's 8 episodes of 15 minutes. That's 4 episodes or 6 episodes, depending on how you count it, of conventional television. And I feel like that's a great way I just wish we had more resources for things that are a short format but still want to tell a full story.
My question, though, goes a bit further, of being like, do you think they might have thought, or do you think it has more watchability because you're only asking people to invest 15 minutes at a time? And they maybe leaned on that, being like, this is a tough topic to get everybody to watch. Let's try the 15-minute format, because people have no time for anything. And if you gave me a 15-minute podcast, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll try that.
I think
if it's like a 3-hour podcast, I'd be like, oh, probably not.
I think 15 minutes is a specific amount of time. I think less than 15 minutes, and people might look at it and be like, this isn't a real show. Like, I'll watch this because I like the person in it or something like that, but I'm not going to watch it.
That less than 15 minutes, it feels like a sketch.
Yeah, exactly. Like they did these, like Mortal Kombat, which I love the Mortal Kombat video game franchise, but more the characters in it than actually playing it. And a couple of years ago, they made these like short, almost like teasers of a few different character sketches, 8 minutes ever, and they were like amazing. They were better than anything they'd ever done with Mortal Kombat ever before, and then they just like died on the vine. And so for me, if it's like a bunch of 8-minute little things and I don't feel like that's going anywhere, then to me I feel like it's not really worth necessarily investing the time, because it's not going to be satisfying. Whereas 15 minutes and it's a season, or I'm told it's a story, or similarly with Fortune Rookie, when I'm being told a story, I'm into it. Stevie Jackson's Honestly Charlotte is another one that's a short, where I feel like I know up front that there's a story here, and I'm interested in it. So
you're saying is that I feel like you're saying is that it's not, maybe it was easier for them to pitch the show that way. We don't know. But also there is room for this genre of the 15-minute show.
Oh, 100%. But I think it's more about convincing me up front that the length of time you are giving me here is the right length of time to tell that particular story.
Now, the show is getting great reviews. So, sorry about that. The show is getting really great reviews. But I read something really funny that that was on Huffington Post about, endorsing it. It's so awesome. It's so funny. It's really, we can emphasize that the writing is great. But the person writing the critique was like, or the review was like, the only thing is that sometimes, the shots are a bit, or like the transitions are a bit janky. Like in one shot, you see the two of them standing in the back, him and Ryan in the bathroom, and they're like, let's invite people over for a party. And then it's a really few seconds slow. And then all of a sudden, slowly, there's more people in the room. And then all of a sudden, there's a party. And they're like, it's a bit janky, as a criticism. And I just wanted to scream into my phone, what is it, Scorsese? How...
This is the definition of something where the story and the characters are what matters. It doesn't need to have... it would be great.
I was like, if you're looking for something to pick it apart with, fine. But I was like, really? Are we focusing on the, director of photography of this show?
Yeah, this one is one where I almost, and it is visual. It's not visual. The expressions and the reactions that people have on their face. I really love the way they use color, the way they use colors in the costumes. Can we talk about So we talked about them. I want to talk about. So there's the main thread of the show, which is his character Ryan, but then there is the backdrop of this kind of horrific exploitive internet blog.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
What did you guys think of that and the Olivia character, or maybe you want to set it up a little bit? I don't know, but he gets a job where essentially they write stories to get web hits, typical kind of.
I think it's an online magazine.
Whatever it is.
No, whatever. It's like a magazine blog kind of.
And they need likes and hits, and they need people to click on their stuff. So basically the head of whatever the magazine or whatever it is they did a restyling of the whole mag, which is called Egg Woke, which is just amazing.
Amazing.
How bad that name is.
So fun.
And
so great and so almost real.
Right. And she's just horrendous. She's like the classic Devil Wears Prada, Emily Blunt bitch. But
Emily Blunt's character does at least one nice thing at the end of Devil Wears Prada.
Well,
actually, she reminds me of. You guys didn't see Neon Demon, the one that Lindsay recommended, but she reminds me of the characters that ultimately commit cannibalism in Neon Demon.
Jeez.
But I think that she's a little. She's pretty one-dimensional, but she gets maybe a little two-dimensional.
It's good satire. I feel like it's satire that borders on documentary.
Right. And so, Shai and I earlier today had a quick conversation about something really interesting.
Just catching up?
What?
Just catching up outside of podcast hours?
Yeah, we were just I gotta say, Shai and I had quite the discussion about body image today.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and it was sparked by the scene in the show where Olivia tells Kim, who's voluptuous, to keep writing about her positive body image, not because Olivia gives a shit about her positive body image,
but because it gets a lot of hits.
It's popular right now and gets a lot of hits and clicks, and Kim just has this snarky response to her putting in her place. That's a great moment, and her whole confidence and body image juxtaposed against Ryan, who is so self-conscious and nervous, and rightfully so. It's a great yin yang, day and night kind of pairing.
I also think that it's important that his friend and partner in crime in this show is a woman who's, like you said, she's got bigger boobs and hips, and she has, and she's she's
Asian?
yeah,
She's Indian.
Yes, and she's Indian, and like things that are not. We're not putting a skinny blonde as his friend that he's making. We're putting someone who is actually representative of lots of different features that have typically not been accepted as shown
and
or
shown on TV.
are included, in the conversation. And so, yeah. So I think that's.
And there's a great moment also where she takes like a little bit of a shot at these very plastic women who come to talk to her, and she says something to the effect of, "Oh, you guys," they say something nice to her, and she was like, "Oh, I assumed you were just going to come over and tell me if I lost a few pounds, Mindy Kaling could play me in the movie."
That's right.
And I think that was a really great putting in their place. She's interesting. She could have her own 15. See, that's the thing, is that you could have your own 15-minute spin-off of the world through Kim's eyes.
Yeah.
And not be that much of a crazy investment of a spin-off, and not necessarily having to weave it through a half-hour show that and take away from Ryan's story, but you could have like a special 2.0 just of Kim edition. And so I would watch that. I'm always pitching spin-offs, I guess. All right, so in the end, we recommend Special. It's a buy all around, and you don't have to buy it if you already have Netflix, so that's even better.
Exactly.
And a big thank you to our friend Lons and her celebrity best friend Adriana Nassar for the
it just really,
recommendation.
the show like proves to any studio head ever of all time that if the writing is good and the story is good and the idea is good, that it doesn't like matter. Like that's
all that matters. Yeah,
that's all that matters. And I think that this show is such a great example. That Shai brought up, I don't want to not mention Speechless. Shai brought up with me earlier today, but there's also that show Speechless. Like, this is groundbreaking, I think, the show, but there is a show currently on TV that has a disabled person played by a disabled actor. And I think
ABC. It's on ABC
right.
with Minnie Driver. It's a terrific show.
Right. And it's a great show, and I said to Shai, and it serves an amazing purpose as probably being one of the first shows to really, remember, what was that show with Corky?
Life Goes On.
Life Goes On.
That's what it was called?
I remember that being a really big deal, that there was a kid with Down syndrome on TV when we were kids. And then I'm not sure, I feel like we've seen that much since. And Speechless, I think, it's fantastic. And I said, Shai, especially to watch with young kids in your family. But the point of the show is not just about the kid with the disability. It's about how the whole family, functions like a normal family, et cetera, et cetera. I said to Shai, this is even, takes it, elevates it even more because, like Becky, you said before, it's shining a light on a specific type of marginalized people that don't get to play parts in movies, let alone the lead or TV, because, they don't sell tickets the way women superheroes don't sell tickets, right? And so I just think it's very cool to keep breaking the mold. So Netflix has my vote. Sorry.
Yeah, big
I will
time.
say I give Netflix a lot of crap. About their shows. I think a lot of their shows that get a ton of press, like Orange is the New Black and House of Cards, are nonsense, and I really don't like those shows. But there have been a few things like Sex Education, and I know Schitt's Creek isn't Netflix, but where they have been the ones to bring a couple of things to us where I'm like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. That's pretty awesome. All right, so let's go on. There's been some big trailer drops lately, huge trailer drops for us. In fact, I was looking at our numbers, and among our most downloaded episodes feature discussions of the following two topics. So one is Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, and the other is,
which makes perfect sense.
And the other is Star Wars. So
didn't we talk about Star Wars on the last episode, or no?
I mean, I don't think, no, we talked about it when we were in Los Angeles.
Well, we didn't talk about the trailer on the episode?
I don't think, Lily hadn't seen it yet.
I think we did.
Wait, did we?
No, I did. I did. You know what, though? I don't remember it, and I feel like I don't care. I don't understand it.
Oh, okay. All
Am
right.
I supposed to care? She hugs Leia. Is that what our conclusion is?
Okay. Cobra Kai. Have you guys seen the trailer to Cobra Kai Season 2?
I mean, we can talk the Star Wars trailer. In fact, I'd love you to explain it to me.
So wait, Star Wars trailer in short. You see Kylo Ren putting together his old
I watched the Ray trailer.
his old mask. Rey does a flip over a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
She hugs Princess Leia. It seems like they go to see the old Death Star on what must be Endor, which has suffered an ecological disaster because it's like a desert now with no Ewoks. And you hear the Emperor's voice laugh at the end. And it's going to be called The Rise of Skywalker, which after they've been telling us this is the end of the Skywalker saga, which, by the way, as I continuously say, is one of the more unnecessary things for them to tell us over and over and over again. Why end the Skywalker saga? But anyways, like, maybe end this part of the series, but there's tons of stuff that could be done with it. In any event, there's a lot of cool imagery in it, but we saw a lot of cool imagery with The Last Jedi trailer, so I'll believe it when I see it. I just have a lot of faith in J.J. Abrams that he'll tell a good story.
For sure.
Now, over to Cobra Kai. Have you guys seen the trailer for Cobra Kai?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there've been like a couple trailers, or like a trailer.
Where do you see them on YouTube?
All I know is that I got so...
Or you just found them? I don't understand.
I was so excited during it, I stopped watching it because I'm like, I don't need any more spoilers. You've got the return... Well, spoiler alert.
Oh my God, I love that you have Daniel's building up his dojo, which is going to be so exciting.
Johnny's dojo is getting out of control and becoming... Out of control. It's becoming out of control. He's
made a bunch of gremlins, basically.
And the return of John Kreese, the original evil master from the first one, Martin Kove, the actor Martin Kove, and Daniel LaRusso's daughter joining the dojo with that pretty kid who was from the first season.
With Johnny's son.
Oh, that's it. That's Johnny's son. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, with that pretty kid. And so
I feel he's a little bit too pretty, but that's fine.
They did a really nice job kind of holding off Daniel really getting into the story majorly until the second part of the first season, and now it's really what the second season is going to grab hold of.
I've had I'm not sure I've had I guess my wedding was a lot of fun, but watching that show with Jose has been like one of the most fun things I've ever done with him.
And
like, it was amazing.
And the trailer that I just saw has a slow version of, I believe, Cruel Summer.
Yeah.
Playing in the background.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
First of all, it gave me a lot of emotions. But seriously, are they just promise me, like, they have to promise me that for season 3 they are saving that Peter Cetera song, the Knight in Shining Armor from Karate Kid Part 2 song.
I was seeing that.
They're going to have to bring Elizabeth Shue back.
But no, how?
We talked about this. What is she doing that she can't be on this YouTube show? I hear she plays tennis a lot. Like, put down the racket and get on television.
But what's going to happen? Is she going to end up with Johnny? I feel like that would be a really weird ending to the story.
No, because she's supposedly like happily married with kids. We don't need her to end up with Johnny, but it'd be really fun to bring. It'd be like really fun to bring her back for a couple of episodes.
Oh, yeah. And
Come on.
Maybe she could help bring them both back to find their center.
Something like that, you know. And
will Hilary Swank make an appearance?
Well, she's what's that one called?
That's
the
canon.
Next Karate Kid?
The Next Karate Kid. She was in Karate Kid Part 4.
Yeah, that is because she was with Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. It's not like the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, which
that one's
doesn't even feature karate.
Fair point.
It's about kung fu. I mean, it's really terrible. Yeah. I mean, the movie was enjoyable, but there was no necessity to call it the Karate Kid under any circumstances.
Right.
Okay.
Right, they act like it was a remake, which is silly.
There are rumors that Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are going to make a Rush Hour 4.
Oh, please no. Please no. Rush Hour 1 is fantastic. Rush Hour 2 is pretty good. Rush Hour 3 is
getting Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan back together?
For Shanghai Noon? Because Shanghai Nights was really not that good.
That's like, I feel like Shanghai Nights is the heyday of the terrible sequel. There's just, you know?
That's a good point.
That one does not look... I would love to see it, but they'd really have to find
movies like Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights remind me so much of the way the way Breakin' and Electric Boogaloo were done. Like the studio already green lights the sequel before the first one's even done, and then they're just like, it's so terrible and hodgepodgey, the second one.
They're like, just get it done. Schedule.
Yeah.
Got to get it
Yeah.
done.
Right.
Oh,
Everyone's getting paid.
There was a lot of potential for Shanghai Nights. Not just the pun
Shanghai
name.
Noon was brilliant.
Great.
Oh, I love that movie. First of all, they find a way to work Kid Rock songs into an old-timey 1800s era.
I mean, Shy's happy. He's in heaven.
So,
I feel like we're getting very sidebarred here. Yeah, so we're all so excited for Cobra Kai season 2 that we can't even talk about the trailer because we're so excited.
exactly. You know that all three of them will be at AwesomeCon, not All-Star Comic-Con, but AwesomeCon this coming weekend, and you can pay money and reserve. You can, yeah, I am, but I did not reserve.
Like all three of them.
Like you could take a picture.
Sensei, Johnny, and Daniel Russo.
Yeah, and you could reserve a photo op with all three of them if you wanted to together.
Whoa, it's too much.
What if you just wanted one of them?
You can do that too. It's just less money.
Okay, I feel like we can all do a GoFundMe page to get you to get.
No, you know what? There are other people who I really want to meet.
A picture with the Karate Kid.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want them to be.
My cousin Vinny.
I don't need to know. I don't need to meet those actors.
I feel like if Daniel Russo was still 16, I'd be more interested.
Ooh, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
If he was 16, or the part where I said there's.
And we were 16, because otherwise it would be weird.
No, if he was still 16, you know what I mean? If it was somehow they could, time warp the original Karate Kid.
He looks the same.
He does kind of look the same. He's still miniature.
All right, shout-outs. Who's got shout-outs?
I have so many shout-outs.
I'll let you guys go.
I want to shout out to cousin Vanessa for bringing the macaroons and her delicious little babies and for coming to my Seder. I want to shout out to Dad for leading the Seder. I want to shout out to Mom for the gefilte fish. I want to shout out to Vlad for the chicken soup. I know I did all my shout outs at the beginning and I'm doubling up on them. But I really want to yeah.
Becky only shout outs to people she knows personally, and I only shout out to celebrities that I do not know.
I mean, go ahead then.
We're on the opposite ends. Shy, shout outs.
My shout-outs, I want to talk a little bit about All-Star Comic-Con. I know we mention it every week, but we're now getting into the countdown. I know right after we tape this episode, we are having our own planning call to talk about all the things that are going on. But just so
and you guys want me on that call?
We do. Lily gave you an invite.
You were officially invited, so.
And so All-Star Comic-Con, Kevin Besnar's, Michael McNutt founded it. It is not just a pop culture celebration, but it is a year-round community. I've been going to events locally. These guys have been so tremendously supportive of everybody that is involved with them, and they throw great events, and they're super inclusive. There are going to be amazing people at this, like celebrities. It's not all about the celebrities, but Jessica Parker Kennedy from The Flash, Gail Simone, who's one of the all-time most important comic book writers ever, Tom King, who is local to the area but also Superman, Batman, Justice League. He's one of the giants of the comic book world. C. Thomas Howell, star of The Outsiders, Red Dawn, an icon, is going to be there. And then one of our favorite shows that Mike McNutt introduced us to, Deadly Class, Luke Tenney is going to be on.
He's great.
He's going to be there. I really hope we get to catch up with him. And then, of course, star of the Replacements, although she's been in many other things that are more important.
She's only in The Replacements.
But as far as we're concerned, the Replacements is a major achievement. Brooke Langton. Ming Chen from Kevin Smith's, SQ Universe, USQ Universe, and the Shared Universe podcast studio, and then Tim Capello, who is the saxophone playing dude from The Lost Boys, which I plan to reunite, is going to be there, and of course we're going to be there exhibiting at a booth. And one of the things that's going to go on at our booth, and we have the equipment to do this, is we are going to be taping lightning rounds with people who come up to the booth. So you come up to the booth with us, you can come play Buy, Rent, or Meh, or tell us about an I Told You show, or maybe play a little Castaway, where you can help us put a Dreamcast together for something, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to give some surprise stuff away, and we're going to work on. Anyways, it's going to be really cool, and we will be there the 7th, 8th, and 9th of June. The 8th and 9th are the two big exhibiting days. Go to theallstarcomiccon.com and get tickets, and then tweet about it, share it on Facebook, let people know you're going. It's 47 days, 1 hour, and 48 minutes to go.
Oh, wow. Only.
So that's my big shout out. Lily, where can people follow you?
At Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 Table, Pancake 4 Table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow all the Friday Night Movie fun at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, as well as FridayNightMoviePod.com. And the music from What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance our way into this afternoon. Bye, guys. Love you. Happy Passover.
Bye. Happy Passover. Enjoy the matzah. Linda Josby was obsessed with Clay Aiken.
What do you think those Jospies are doing right now?